Spanish España, formerly the Kingdom of Spain, is a country in southwestern Europe. The history of Spain dates back to the antiquity, when the pre-Roman peoples of the Mediterranean coast of the Iberian Peninsula made contact with the Greeks and Phoenicians. And the first writing system known as Paleo-Hispanic script were developed in 1516. Habsburg Spain unified a number of disparate predecessor kingdoms. Its modern form of constitutional monarchy was introduced in 1813, and the current democratic constitutions dates to 1978, after the completion of the Reconquista. The Crown of Castillo began to explore across the Atlantic Ocean in 1492, expanding the New World and marking the beginning of the Golden Age under the Spanish Empire. The Kingdom of Spain were unified under Habsburg rule in 1516. That unified the Crown of Castile, the Crown of Aragon, and smaller kingdoms under the same rule. Until the 1650s, Habsburg Spain was the most powerful state in the world. Spain remained among the most powerful states until the early 19th century. During this period, Spain was involved in all major European wars, including the Italian Wars, the 80 Years' War, and the 30 Years' War. Spanish power declined in the latter part of the 17th century. In the early part of the 19th century, most of the former Spanish Empire overseas disintegrated with the Spanish-American Wars of Independence. Only Cuba and Philippines and a number of small islands left. They revolted near the end of what had been a century of great stability for Spain. And the United States acquired ownership or control in the case of Cuba. After the Spanish-American War of 1898, a tenuous balance between liberal and conservative forces was struck in the establishment of a constitutional monarchy in Spain. During the Bourbonic Restoration, this period began in 1874 and ended in 1931. The Liberal Party, Pracedes Mateo Sagasta, and the Conservative Party, Antonio Cánovas del Castillo, they were alternately in power. When Alfonso XIII and the regency of Maria Cristina, when Alfonso died at the age of 27, succeeded by his unborn son who became Alfonso VIII. Then came the dictatorship of General Primo de Rivera 1923 to 1930. Alfonso VIII was forced him to resign in 1930. Alfonso VIII left Spain and the Democratic Republic was proclaimed in Spain. 5 years later, the country descended into the Spanish Civil War between the Republican and the Nationalist factions. Nationalist victory in the conflict installed a dictatorship led by Francisco Franco that lasted until 1975. The country experienced rapid economic growth in 1960s and early 1970s. With the death of Franco in November 1975, Spain returned to the monarchy, this time headed by Juan Carlos I, and to democracy. With a fresh constitution voted in 1978, Spain entered the European Economic Community in 1986, transformed into the European Union with the Maastricht Treaty of 1992 and the Eurozone in 1998.